I think about it all the time. It's one of those things that it's not good. Anybody that tells you, like you hear anybody that talking out in the bars or talking about, oh, I killed this guy and this and that,
Sure.
they're either lying or a psychopath. Because I can still hear this guy dying in my head. I can see his face because we, like I said, when you do your bow down or such, you get to walk around, you get to see everybody, and you get to see what you did. Yeah, they're the enemy and everything, but what would I do if somebody was coming to my house? I'd fight. Yeah, it's one of those things too. Is like I can be honest with you. There's like there's times where we were doing things where I was like, I'd rather be in no place in the world right now than right here. It's just you get that such of a high because you know that at any moment things go really, really bad. But you've got guys here with you that are willing to do the same thing. And people back here, in like the civilian world, they'll never understand that. Like, you talk about that's why I think so many people have issues when they come home because they don't have that camaraderie, they don't have that purpose. And they don't have faith too. I didn't have faith then. I was thought it was just me, and I look back on that too, and like all those times, if I'd have got killed there, I wouldn't have been saved. I'd have been my life had been eternally damned because I was living my life for me. And now that I'm this age, I can look back clearly on things and just be like, I'm absolutely blessed, and I've got to have a purpose. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be for something. And that's why I'm trying to do things right this stage of my life. For the last couple of years, I'm trying to live my life as best as I can, help out as many people as I can, reach out to people. People ask me about my story, I'll try to tell them. Years ago, I couldn't even talk about it without crying, breaking down. I wouldn't even talk about it. Now I have a little bit more resolve with it. I have more resolve with it. I have more peace with it. And then was it 19 July? That was a week before I was going home. Our intel guy, Andy, they were picking up chatter on the radios about this guy, and his name was Zionullah. He was one of the top guys in the Taliban, and they're picking up, triangulating his radio contact and his cell phone calls. This dude was literally like 3 miles from us. Like you can look at our fire base, and the village is right here. He was on the other side of the village, going up on the mountain, making phone calls. That's how close he was to us. So we had to get a plan together to go. We're going to do a raid on this village. It's called Bariki, and they've had a bunch of firefights there since. But and it was like 7 compounds spread out over about 1,000 meters, right? And we had the imagery and all this. And the fire support plan was we were going to set the area, and then the Afghan National Army was going to come through, and then they were going to clear the village, and then they weren't supposed to go past the compounds because the mountains are there. And then if something happened, I was going to have the base fire artillery rounds into the mountains, so it's going to stop the retreat from any bad guys. That was the plan. So we do an overland, which is you're on foot, and we cross over. We probably walk about 2 miles, 3 miles after we get out the vehicles. And this is where, you're stuck about stuff happening with your podcast, like the pixelation and things go wrong. Well, we're crossing the river, and I trip and fall. I broke the sling on my rifle, and I broke my NVGs, which I didn't know my NVGs were broken until we got in position. So we move across the river, and then we separate at a certain point, right? Our insertion point, we move up from that, and then we get to our insertion point, and then the team split up into 8 different teams. We had 8 3-man teams, and we were going to go hold the area, and then once we were set, the Afghan National Army was supposed to come through. So it's me, the team leader, and the medic. We start moving, and when you have imagery, everything looks different when you get on the ground. So imagery is just a reference a little bit, right? And that's important with what's coming next. So we start moving, and as soon as we get set, we're outside this compound, and we think we're far away because of the distance. It's nighttime; it's hard to see exactly where we're at. And we came through a little bit of a cornfield. Well, as soon as we get set, we start taking fires, like pretty accurate fire from where we just came from, and we didn't know if that was the Afghan National Army coming, And so we didn't want to fire back, just because we didn't know. So we start taking more rounds, and Rob, the team leader, he's like, "Hey, put some rounds down there." So I'm holding rear security. I'm like, "All right," so I put some rounds down there. I couldn't see where they were shooting. I was like I saw the flashes were, so I just fired some rounds at it, and that kind of stopped. Well, we get set again, and Rob and Mike are facing forward, and I'm like kind of almost shoulder to shoulder with Mike, and I'm facing to the rear, holding rear security. And I put my MVGs down, and they don't work because they're broken. I'm like, oh man. Night vision goggles. Night vision goggles. Yeah. And I'm on the radio talking. I had a AC-130 gunship overhead, like watching us and like giving me what's going on. He's giving me reports that there's two guys working on a car, blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff, right? And then all of a sudden he cuts off all communication for some reason, and then he flies away, which he wasn't supposed to leave because they're not supposed to leave till daylight. So he leaves us with no eyes on the ground above, so we don't know what's going on after that. Well, we have the psyops guys come up. And they have basically they're just like they're like public affairs people. They'll drop like pamphlets and they'll put up propaganda, that kind of stuff. Well, they come up with the interpreter, and all our guys are set. And he basically comes over a loudspeaker and he tells everybody, if you're a military age male, you need to come out, put your hands up. If you have any weapons, you need to put your weapons down. And as soon as he said that, everybody started shooting. The whole like all these compounds started opening up, and like we're getting stitched up left and right, and we're returning fire. And it's like almost twilight as the sun's coming up, so it's still pretty dark, but you can see where the sun's coming up, so you get that little bit of clarity in the vision. And I'm holding rear security again, and I see somebody coming through the cornfield, and I'm like, is that one of the Afghan guys? I didn't know, because they're supposed to be already here by now, and they weren't. And I leaned over and I told Rob, I said, hey man, I said, I got a guy come through the cornfield, and he's like, kill him. And I was like, never shot anybody before. And I was like, all right, man. I was like, he got a little closer. I could see like a silhouette, and he was carrying an AK. I put some rounds on him, and he went down. And then 5 minutes later, another dude, same, like almost identical path, shot him. He goes down, and I can hear him dying. He was like making like agonal noises, like and all this kind of stuff. And then the firefight jumps off again. Everybody starts shooting. Me and Mike and Rob, we get pinned down. RPG gets fired right over us, hits the compound in front of us. And that's when we realized how close we were to this compound. We thought we were like 50, 60 feet away, but we were like 20 feet away from the compound. So we had to, so we had to like crawl backwards and try to get distance from this thing. And there's a drainage ditch where they had irrigate the cornfield. Well, going through that, like my weapon, everything's covered in mud. And we roll back over. The sun's coming up a little bit. And we see this woman. She walks right past us. She didn't see us. She walks right past us. She walks over to the dude, the last guy I shot, grabs his AK and starts picking up. Well, Rob he had his MBGs. He turned on her and he put her down. And then that compound opened fire on us again. So I turned around, and daylight's coming up, and I see a head come up over the wall like this. And I was getting ready to take the shot on, but I couldn't see a weapon. And at that time, rules of engage, you had to see a weapon. And I should have shot him, but I didn't. And I didn't shoot him, and I come back down. Well, he fires an RPG. As soon as he fired RPG, the next gun team took a shot at him because there was like a hole on the other side of the compound. Took a shot at him and hit him. And it hit him through the hip, and it broke his pelvis and hit him in the femur because we've had to treat him anyway. And that's something I struggle with today because you could have killed us, and I should have shot him. Well, anyway, this goes on we were fighting by ourselves for about 4 hours, and there was a compound that wasn't on the imagery, and daylight's almost all the way up now. It's still a little hazy. and we started getting accurate, like heavy weapons, machine gun fire from this position. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Armageddon, where they're on the asteroid and they're laying on the ground. The asteroid, the thing rolls over Bruce Willis and that dude, and they're like, "Could you see that? Do you believe that just happened?" Well, this dude starts laying down machine gun fire on us, and we're all three of us are like as flat as we can get like this, and there's this round zipping. I mean, it was crazy. Well, we had two guys from the 25th ID, young kids. They were snipers. Well, he was on the other end. Shot that dude, killed him, and saved us. He was like 19 years old, made a hell of a shot, killed that dude, saved our lives. And we were just like, holy shit! So we had to get back up, holding security, and then we started getting the Afghan people. The Afghan National Army finally shows up, and I'm talking to. I had Apache helicopters overhead. I had some fighter jets at different altitudes overhead because once you start firing and start shooting, everybody shows up on station. Everybody wants to get action. So I had all kinds of aircraft ready to go. The only problem was we had people spread out and people moving everywhere, so I couldn't use any fast movers to drop bombs. I had to use the Apache gunships to suppress with. And then they had some of the Afghans got wounded, and they bring them to our position because that's where the medic is. And our medic, his name is Mike. I'm not gonna give his last name, but they wrote a book about this SF team I was with. It's called Roughneck 9-1. They were in the Iraq War. These dudes were the best special operations team I've ever worked with. They did everything the way it was supposed to be done. They were professional, and they were all killers, man. They were absolutely the reason I'm here today, because you know it's a humbling experience to be around men that can operate like that, because they had families just like I did. And anyway, excuse me. But yeah, I talked about it for a while. Well, we start getting the Afghans brought to where we're at. So I'm watching Mike go to work on these guys, and one dude took some shrapnel through his neck, and his whole neck was like wide open. And yeah, and he's working like six people at the same time, and absolutely, he saved all of them. He saved every single one of those dudes. Like, and there's no way several of them should have lived, but he did it. He saved them, and I got to watch it. It was amazing. So we finally get the area secured. You start getting medevacs come in, getting all the wounded out, even excuse me, the Taliban guys wounded, getting them out. And we captured about 30 people, killed something like 25, something like that. Well, when the sun come up, we had to go do a battle damage assessment, all the casualties, all the dead, all this kind of stuff, right? Well, that woman that walked past us, she was probably 15 to 20 feet from us. She was like 70 years old. Yeah, like somebody's grandma. She's going out there to kill us. It's something I'll never forget. Her laying there on her back with her mouth wide open, old as dirt. And I was trying to picture my grandma doing that, and I couldn't. So we had to move the CCP. Yeah, it's just the mentality is 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 something that people here don't understand. Like I can't tell you how many little girls I've seen with their noses cut off, or their ears cut off, because they wanted to go to school there and listen to Western music. Yeah, and you're important. Yeah, I had girls. I had all girls. I had two girls at the time. So we'd go to these villages to give out candy or whatever. I'd always give stuff to the little girls, and they get treated like trash. And to see them, like I said, they're missing their nose or their ears are cut off. I just wanted to burn the whole place down. It made me sick. Yeah, and we're importing this stuff into our country left and right. It's diabolical.
I'm sure you have seen what's going on in Europe. I've been watching it for years now, and it's funny that people are just now finally waking up. And I'm like, this has been going on for a decade now, and they're like, we're gonna fight back. I'm like, you're too late. It's already over.
Europe's lost.
And let that be a lesson to America. And people don't want to open their eyes to it. We're too PC. But the bottom line is we're a big country. So we're able to absorb X amount of shitheads that want to kill us. When over the last 4 years, when I guesstimate 30 million. I know they say 7 to 10, but there was probably close to 30 million people that came in unvetted, unvaccinated, whatever, which I'm not a vaccinated person anyways. But the point being is, now things are happening and people are shocked. It's like, well, yeah, you didn't see this coming? No, of course not, because I don't, their heads up their ass. But
it's by design. You look at Europe, especially Britain, what people don't fail to understand is, these countries or these Muslims are coming in and they're outbreeding the natural born population. In Frankfurt, Germany, they're the first country in Europe that now the native born people are outnumbered by the foreign born people. And people don't realize either that Britain's coming the same way, and Britain has nuclear weapons. So what's going to happen when they have an all Muslim majority? It's all by design. Yeah, these people, they're incompatible with Western values. They hate you. They will lie. It's all in their book. They can lie. They can do anything they want as long as it serves Islam. And it's just insanity to me that we're allowing this stuff to go on. If anybody that's been over and seen what I've seen, and I'm nobody special. Trust me, there's guys who've done way more than I have, been more rotations, all this stuff. But you've been there one time, you see the evil of these people. Like in Iraq, they're putting suicide vests on kids with Downs.
I appreciate you coming on and opening up and giving people a real look into what life was like and what your life was like. If you got something out of this, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this, guys, because conversations like this matter. And hey, listen, man, thank you so much again for coming on. It's been a long time in the making. It was great catching up with you. And we'll see you next time on Rodney Hood Talks. You guys remember, God loves you, and so do we. Peace.